Well, hello everybody. This is Anthony McAvaney with my usual Monday, Get Moving Monday broadcast. I hope you're all well, and it may not be Monday where you're watching this from. And if you happen to be watching the recording, I hope you'll have had a good weekend by the time that you've actually seen this. Just speaking of that, if you happen to be watching this session via recording, I'd really love it if you just put hashtag in the comments and the word recording, just so I have some knowledge of who's watching live and who's actually accessing this via recording. A quick recap on why I do Get Moving on Monday. I think for all of us, a key to success in our business is the ability to focus and to begin the week or even every day, in fact, with a particular intent. So the whole idea of Get Moving on Mondays, my sessions, is to encourage people to set out at the beginning of their working week, typically on a Monday, with a particular intent. And you'll know from the header of my Facebook page that each of those days has a particular theme. And so Monday, of course, is Get Moving, and all the other days have a particular theme. But then we come to Saturday, which is High Five Saturday, and typically that's all about celebrating the fact that you've set out to do something, that you've worked through the week, and that you've actually done it. So that's really what it's about. And obviously, you can always watch the recordings. My intent usually on a Monday is to provide some sort of teaching content, and today is not going to be any different. Based on a little bit of interaction within the group, we somehow got onto the topic of sales funnels. I think that might have been on a troubleshooting Tuesday. It might have been Carrion that might have mentioned a little bit of difficulty with developing lead magnets. So I thought we'd spend a little bit of time today talking about your offer ladder and the construction of sales funnels and some of the strategies that are associated with that. So what I'm going to do is I've got a series of slides here, typically, and I'll share those with you. And we'll get stuck into how to actually build a sustainable online group coaching business, and just the importance of the sales funnel. So what am I going to cover today? Well, I want to give you a quick overview. If you know nothing about sales funnels, and look, I'll be honest, I was really quite amazed when I first started delving into the whole idea of sales funnels. I kind of knew there was a science to this, to actually generating sales online, but it wasn't until I got into the whole world of sales funnels that I understood the importance of them and the psychology behind them, and how that actually needs to influence the way in which we interact with our clients. So I'm going to give you an overview of what a sales funnel is all about, the various stages of that, beg your pardon, the relevance of your customer's journey to your business, and designing your sales funnel in relation to that customer's journey. And then we'll look at strategies that you can use at each stage of the funnel that ultimately leads to sales for your business. And a big mistake I made early on in my time online was the coaches that I was working with at the time kept talking about congruence, making everything in your strategy congruent. An important part of the whole process, rather than just something that's plucked out that has no relevance to what it is that you're trying to do. That kind of sounds obvious now, but I really struggled to understand, well, how do I make my offers, particularly the offers early in my sales funnel, congruent? So we're going to cover that today too. So let's just delve in a little bit to the psychology behind this. And so this is what typically happens. And I guess naively, in my early days of trying to generate sales online, this was the issue. So many people online, including me back then, just expected to make sales. So if you put it out there, people are going to buy. And I've put an image there of a rather, I don't know, perhaps slightly sly, perhaps untrustworthy kind of character. But this is the experience that all of us have when we interact with an online business for the very first time. We see somebody, we see some information, clearly, and often what the case is that they're making a pitch straight away. The very first interaction with them is actually to make a pitch, to try and get them to sell you something. And so the question then remains is, well, just because somebody's made a sales pitch to you, what's the likelihood that you're going to buy? I mean, genuinely, if we just go back there, genuinely though, do you recall the last time you just simply pulled out your credit card? So, you know, it's important that we remind ourselves, you know, how and why people will actually decide to buy something online. And so understanding what is it that your client really is looking for. So people don't buy products and services just because they're a product or a service. They buy outcomes and solutions. So if we're in the coaching game, you know, people, our clients, are looking to resolve a particular problem, or they're looking to achieve a result that's particularly important to them. So clearly, when we're communicating with our clients, it needs to be a focus on the results. It's got nothing to do with the process that you're going to use to help them to achieve that result. So if we look at the customer's journey, and if you've seen some of my other broadcasts, you'll be familiar with this. But you know, one of the critical first steps in setting up our own business is actually to understand, you know, what that customer journey will be. So customers understanding where they are at their current point A, their so-called pain point, an area of discomfort for them, or where they have a strong desire or need or an urge or a push to achieve a particular result or outcome. That's their driving force, and it's why they're looking online. And then the point B, which as a result of your coaching, is their desired after state. So they've got a picture in their mind that, okay, I have this problem, and if we wave a magic wand, this is how I'm going to feel and how I'm going to be in my world now that the problem is solved. So it's all about that journey. And, you know, along the way, your clients, you know, understand that in putting your package together, there are going to be components of your coaching which are around the client's mindset. You know, change is uncomfortable for all of us, really. Things like self-confidence, lack of self-esteem, overcoming difficulties, you know, working with clients at the mindset level is really important. And obviously, if we're in the coaching game, we'll be providing our clients with particular skills, and certainly directing them to tools that you use. So this is the journey. But if we just sort of start talking sales, instead of communicating to the client that A, we understand their problem, and B, what their desired after state is, there's no resonance there. We're just not on the same level as our client. So in terms of making offers to clients, all of those offers must be congruent. So all the little vertical lines that you see there on the diagram are the steps and the stairs in that transformational journey. So your opt-in, which is early in the sales funnel, which we'll see in a moment, it must be a part of the overall customer journey. And in fact, to take that one step further, just as our entire process takes customers from a desired before state, so from their uncomfortable before state to a desired after state, the little segment that you're pulling out, and it can be any part of that journey, which you could offer to start interacting with them. But that snippet that you're offering also must have, and it must be clear to the client that you're moving from a pain point A to a desired outcome of point B. So each of those steps and stairs, each of the things that you teach must take clients on a journey. And all of those steps and stairs there result in a total desired outcome. I hope that actually makes sense to you. So all those offers must be congruent. And this was something I really struggled with, but it's not until I saw the customer transformational journey broken down this way, and understanding that all the pieces of the puzzle need to fit together, and that those pieces of the puzzle must make sense to the client. So that's from our perspective. Now, if we look at the customer journey in terms of their relationship with us and how that relationship actually evolves. So in the early stages, if we go back to the unsavory looking character first up, when customers first come across you, they have no idea who you are. They have no idea about your credibility, your credentials, whether what you're offering them is realistic or not. The relationship at this stage can be described as cold. It's actually one of indifference. You know, they found you somehow. They might have done a Google search, or maybe they've seen an advertisement or something like that, but you're just someone whose name and maybe your web page or your Facebook page or your Facebook group has appeared before them. And you're going, well, okay, that's all very well, but you know, can I work with these people? So the relationship initially is cold. They have no idea who you are. They're focused on their problem and are probably suspicious that of any solution that you're offering. So cold customers are unlikely to buy, whereas as customers begin to know you, and there are deliberate strategies that you can implement there, they're going to be a little more less suspicious and are possibly going to be prepared to investigate in a little bit more detail exactly what it might be that you're offering. However, the suspicion, goodness me, we're going, oh, what's happening here? Dear. I think there's been some timings left here from an earlier presentation. Anyway, to continue the discussion, so, you know, someone who's warm still doesn't trust you entirely, whereas somebody who is hot, they are literally hot. So they are convinced of your reliability, your credibility, your solution makes sense to them. Clearly, you've communicated a desired state to them, and they're at the stage where they'll buy, definitely. So the journey through the sales funnel, and this is where it comes to your strategies. In the initial stages, your strategy is to help customers to get to know who you are, so that it's the beginning of a relationship. Get them to know you a little better, to find out who you are, what you do, and how you might be able to help them, to begin to break down those natural barriers of suspicion that will exist. And there are some things that you can do to do that. And then hopefully as a result of that information and what you provide at the cold stage, they do begin to warm up. And literally it is a warming up process. So from this position of, where suspicion begins to die away, they become warmer. This coldness becomes more of a liking. They start to relate to you. And then that final stage there, where there's absolute trust based on what's occurred prior to that in the journey. So how do we get them to move through that series of they know who you are, they now like what they see, and now they're at a point where they absolutely trust who you are and what it is that you've got to offer. So if we look at pure strategy, at the no stage, the concept here in a sales funnel, and this is just a classic sales funnel model that I'm showing you today, you offer a bribe of some sort, right? A chunk of value, and that's the key word in that whole sentence, a chunk of value, and it needs to be perceived and real value as the customer sees it, in exchange for an email address. And the terminology they use is a lead magnet. So this kind of ties in that whole concept of having an email and having a follow-up strategy. It's critical in your business that you have a way to collect emails. And the way to get people to part with their emails is exactly as you've seen here, to offer them a bribe of some sort. So remember though, at this stage, that this bribe, just going back to that previous slide, this bribe, this snippet of your total journey, has to be of value, and it also has its own stage of transitioning them from a pain point to a desired after state. But it's only a partial solution. Okay, so continuing on with that, you turn those leads into customers. Again, the key sentence there is to offer more great value. And here we turn sort of somebody who is still at the tire kicking stage. When you turn a lead into a customer, it's when they actually pull out their credit card and pay you some money. So in classic sales funnel strategy, offer more great value, but it's a low-cost solution to a known problem, or part of that known problem in the total customer transformational journey. So you're not telling them everything, you're providing enough value which they can see, yes, I'm making some progress in moving from my point A to point B. And that solution is attractive enough to the extent where they now actually become a customer. So often in a sales funnel, this first sale will be typically in the $7 to $10 range. Then we move into actually offering your core product, your flagship product. The concept here is that once a customer has become a customer, and the definition of a customer is somebody who's actually paid you some money, it is, I forget what the stats are, but I think it's 5 times more easy, or 5 times easier to sell to an existing customer than it is to attract a brand new one. So the value of putting time and effort into building the relationship through that funnel is really, really quite important. So if we look at the offer ladder in another way, so this again is a classic offer ladder. So we get to know people, we offer something free in exchange for that all-important email, and the strategy there with your email follow-ups is to inform the customer. You're not necessarily selling. You might have 4 or 5 emails. The sole purpose of that, which is to educate the customer about who you are, to share with them your understanding of their problem, maybe sharing your experiences in dealing with the same sort of problem. So we move customers then from free to the actual entry level, which is that $7 to $10 purchase. The core or flagship area is where there's absolute trust, and the core or flagship part of your program, that entire transformational journey, is where you're going to make most of your money. And there's stacks of evidence to indicate that once somebody has bought into your core or flagship offer and maybe working with you for 3 or 6 or 12 months, they are much, much more likely to seriously entertain going up to your top level programs and parting with some serious money to do that. Now, certainly, the majority of your income isn't going to come from premium profit or maximizer. Big chunks of it will, but the majority of your income is going to come from that core or flagship offer where you've established real trust with the client. So the whole purpose of that funnel, moving from free to entry to the core or flagship, that's a really important journey, and it's important that you have strategies for that. And as I've indicated, your core offer is where most of your income is going to come from. So if we just then go back to, well, what are some specific tactics? What does this look like in terms of daily practice in your business? So the sales funnel, the process for acquiring customers, initially you're going to create an offer to your clients and you're going to broadcast that in some way. So this is going to be through some targeted marketing process. So for many people that begins with maybe having a blog, driving people to your landing page, a squeeze page, or something similar. If you have an existing email list, you'll certainly be making regular offers to the email list. And there'll be people who have moved through different stages on that email list. And certainly when people move from becoming a lead to a paying client, you'll be segmenting your lists so that you're making different offers to people who are at different stages of the journey. But other ways of driving people to your offer certainly can be through paid advertising, either online or offline. You can be putting flyers in people's letterboxes or getting someone to do that for you. You could be putting stuff in local newspapers and magazines. That's the kind of the offline version. But paid advertising is probably something you wouldn't want to entertain early on in your business. It can be expensive and you can waste a lot of money if you don't know what you're doing. Certainly, your personal networking will be a way that will drive people to your offer. And then lastly, you can see other ways of reaching your market will be through the use of social media, whether that be through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, whichever medium or media is most relevant and appropriate to your business and to your target audience. So you create the offer and you broadcast it, and what you're offering to your clients is that free opt-in gift in exchange for their email address. And as you recall, we call that offer a lead magnet. So the next stage from there, you design a follow-up email sequence, which ideally leads to sales. So if someone goes to your squeeze page, you'll have a sign-up page, and they will enter those details. You'll use your autoresponder so that when people sign up, they'll automatically receive a thank you email, success, you've signed up, and you deliver your gift, typically by email, but it could also be on a thank you page that you've created. From there, you then design an initial sale, the tripwire, which is, as we've seen, that very low cost, lots of value item, maybe a $7 to $10 purchase, and then ultimately you lead customers to your core offer. And again, there are different ways of actually doing that, but that's the process. And email is an extraordinarily important tool in all of our businesses. So if you're not on email, if you don't have an autoresponder, it's critical that you have one and that you have a way of actually gathering people's emails. And then if we keep going with all those steps, you actually completely automate that follow-up. So, choose an autoresponder. Personally, I use Aweber. A lot of people I know use MailChimp. But the process, as I've briefly described before, is the first email is, you let people know that they've successfully signed up, and you deliver the promised gift immediately. So literally within a minute or so, people should be getting an email from you saying, thanks for signing up, here's the gift that I promised you. Email number 2, as you can see, might be like, welcome to my whatever you're calling your business at this stage. Like, I've got a private Facebook group, obviously. So welcome to my group. This is who I am. This is what I do. And there might be 2 or 3 or 4 emails where you get into that relationship building phase. And it may not be as soon as email 3, where you make that tripwire offer, which is that low paid offer. And then email 4, again, that's not necessarily email 4. It could be email 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever the case. My coaches and mentors recommend that I have a 21-day follow-up email campaign. Initially, I work with 7, and 7 seems to work, but not everybody is going to move all the way through that funnel. So the importance of having that email list is that really you can broadcast to them at a time of your choosing. And it's not uncommon in online businesses that people are not ready to buy now, but they might be in 12 months' time. So in terms of an overall email strategy, you're constantly in contact with your clients via email, and it could be 12, even 18 months down the track, they actually buy in. So they may, for example, in the early stages, take your tripwire, the $7 to $10 one, which means, okay, they're a customer, and more than likely they'll continue to open your emails now that they've parted money. You've developed sufficient trust for them to do that. you have the opportunity, because you've developed that warmth and that trust, to continue to make offers to them. And again, just to remind you that instead of just simply picking an ebook or a checklist or something like that, it must be relevant to the total transformational journey that you are taking your clients on. And as we've talked about already, that little snippet that you're offering as an initial free gift, and even that tripwire, will be a snippet from the total journey. And both the free lead and the tripwire will have its very own transition from a point A to a point B. So that's the concept behind sales funnels. So I'll just stop that share and come back to you. So I wanted to give you that overview. It's a really quick overview, and each of those stages we could certainly delve into much deeper. But what we've looked at today is hopefully to heighten your awareness that there is a strategy here, that there's some very deep psychology behind it. There are reasons why perhaps some of your existing clients aren't buying from you. It could be that you're making offers which aren't relevant to the total journey. It could be that you're trying to make offers to them where they're still at that cold stage. Like, when you've got members of your audience who are literally at that cold stage, your chances of getting a sale are none. Go back to our image of the guy that looked a little untrustworthy, the dark glasses and the hat, and really shifty looking character. You're not going to buy from people that you don't know, like, or even trust. So that's the theory in summary of a sales funnel. I've added to the group in the files section actually a worksheet which will help you to pull out of that transformational journey a lead magnet and that tripwire sales. So I'd encourage you, if you've never actually taken the time to think about and actually create your sales funnel, that worksheet hopefully will be of assistance to you. And if you have questions, of course, relating to today's session about building sales funnels, please just pop them in the comments, and I'll do my best to respond to them. And something else, could I ask you to do this week? I would really love it. I'm wanting to expand this group and to expand my reach. So if you believe that you're receiving good value from me with things like my Get Moving Monday broadcasts, I would love it if you could invite 1 or 2 or even 3 people to come into the group. That would be absolutely fabulous. I mean, my goal, my mission, my vision, as you may be aware, is that I want to help at least 1,000 people to successfully set up an online coaching business so that they can create a level of financial independence, a level of income that will help them to have that financial independence and to be able to experience in their lives true choice about lifestyle as a result of working in a business where your hours of business can be of your choosing. You can work from anywhere. There's some massive opportunities, as you're mostly aware, of having an online business. And not the least, you can put your income generation on autopilot once you've got it planned well. And if you don't want to work 40 or 50 or 60 hours a week, it's entirely possible to set up an evergreen coaching business so that you have a consistent stream of passive income, and where the hours that you work could be only 10 or 15 or 20 hours a week or less. Anyway, that's my rant today. To sum up, I'd love it if you could bring in some others into our group, and I hope you have a fantastic week. So that's it, Anthony. I'm calling it for today. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the tribe during the week. Thanks again. See you later.